My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and you're listening to Chaotic Riffs Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.chaoticriffs.com. And today we got somebody special with us, Chris Hager from the band Rough Cutt. And Chris is he's a veteran of LA music scene, metal scene precisely. But you work with all kinds of people. We're going to get into that today. Now, at what point did you start working with Rough Cutt, Chris? Because we're not original members, is that correct?
No, actually, that's right.
Okay.
It was 83, actually, mid-83.
83, well, and the interesting thing about Rough Cutt is, you guys, the band never had like a real huge breakout, but the band itself has been a veteran like of the LA metal scene, like I said, and interesting enough, you've had some ex-members went on to bigger and better things. For example, at one point, I understand Jakey Lee was in the band before Ozzy.
Jake left the band before I came in.
Yeah. I'm just kind of putting kind of a history of the band out there, and then you've had, he went on, to Ozzy, and then Craig Goldie at one point, and I know the band worked with Ronnie Dio, but and before that, before you got involved with Rough Cutt in '83, you had previously worked with Stephen Pearcy, the Pre-Ratt band, Micky Ratt, and you've worked on and off with Stephen throughout the year. So I was wondering, how did you and him first meet?
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen and I go way back. We were both San Diego boys.
Wow.
And we were actually in a band. We met down here in like '76.
Okay.
And we were in a band before Micky Ratt, and then he and I, decided to take off and do our own thing and call it Micky Ratt.
Wow.
And this was about 77, 78 or so.
Yeah.
And so we did we built up the following, did the whole San Diego thing, but San Diego's, not a place that you really want to be.
Yeah. LA was the goal, I'm sure, at that time.
So he, Stephen had lived up in LA before, so he was a little bit familiar with it. He knew a few people up there.
Yeah.
He said, look, he came to me one day, I'll never forget, and said, hey man, we got to move to LA. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And it took me a little while to wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
But I did, and we moved up there in January of 1980. Man, it was me, Stephen, our drummer John Turner, and we had a little pickup truck and a car, and that was it. Our amps, it was all we owned.
Wow.
We moved into a garage. This lady had a garage that was kind of fixed up into a room, and that's where we lived and rehearsed and partied and the whole 9 yards. Yeah, you just
kind of really it was making your craft, learning, paying your dues, so to speak, as they say.
Absolutely. So when we got up to LA, we hooked up with an agent, and he started getting us some gigs around the clubs that were popular at the time. We kind of worked our way up to Guitarist.
Wow.
And Troubadour and so on. And we really became sort of like a house band, not sort of, we did.
Wow.
We became a house band at Guitarist, and we played there with a lot of people that you would know of.
Oh, yeah.
The same thing.
Yeah.
So, so actually it's interesting. There's a lot of people from San Diego that you probably know this.
Yeah.
Made that move.
Oh, yeah.
Jake and Robin Crosby, Warren.
Yeah.
Guys, Rob Lamoth, River Dogs.
Wow.
We were all Joey, the original bass player. We were all Matt Thorne.
Yeah.
We were all San Diego boys, but Stephen and I made the move first.
Yeah.
We were first up there, and everybody kind of followed, and then it just turned into sort of musical chairs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And then of course he would eventually hook up with Robin and Warren. But what was the point where you and him split? And I was kind of curious, why did that take place?
Yeah. It was just sort of a difference in musical opinion.
Okay.
I wanted to do something a little bit different, and he did. But the cool thing about it was that we stayed really good friends.
Well, that's important, I mean, because even up to this current day, you're still working with him off and on. And
absolutely, yeah, we did. That's right. We've done a bunch of stuff off and on.
And
a lot of it is out. You can buy it on Amazon. It's just demos and stuff.
Yeah, and in fact, I know that, a number of years back, I think going even back to early 90s, 90, 95, when he formed Top Fuel Records, a lot of those early Micky Ratt demos he started releasing. What did you think? Like, oh, wow, people are going to finally get a chance to hear this stuff?
Well, yeah. I mean, at the time, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
But what we did is we set up a studio, and I was engineer, producer, guitar player, and then Stephen and I wrote songs together, and then we recorded other bands that came in as well. So we were doing demos for other bands, and it was this all around 91, 92.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I really appreciate you sharing your history with us. That's kind of what we want to put out there. And the main thing we're going to be talking about today is, of course, Rough Cutt. And Rough Cutt has been around, like I said, for forever. And I was kind of curious. So in '83, you hooked up with the band. How did you, did you have to audition? What was that process like? Did somebody...
Well, I'll tell you, it's an interesting story. So I was playing after I left, parted ways with Stephen. I hooked up with this singer named Stephen St. James.
Okay.
We started a band called Sarge, and we became pretty popular on the Strip. Yeah. And we were like the house band down at Troubadour. And, we were playing with, all the guys, the guys from Great White.
Wow.
The whole scene down there, the Quiet Riot guys, we all used to hang out.
Yeah.
And so what happened was when Jake left, Craig was in the band, but Rough Cutt, Wendy Dio, managing Rough Cutt. Of course, she was managing Ronnie as well. And they needed a bass player and another guitar player. So they came, they knew about us, and, we kind of all knew about each other.
Yeah.
And I remember Wendy and Ronnie one night showed up with Paul and David Alford showed up at the Troubadour and watched us, and afterwards came up and pretty much propositioned us,
Yeah.
And said, hey, I remember we had a couple meetings, with our producer and with Ronnie and Wendy, and we said, we were thrilled, and so that was the beginnings of it, and
And I've read too over the years where, of course, Ronnie and Wendy, I think produced a couple of demos for you guys. Were you in the band at that time?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what was that like? That had to have been super cool to be like.
Oh man, well, so what was happening is Ronnie had just finished Holy Diver in Sound City, and I remember him inviting us down to listen to the final mixes and stuff. And we were just blown away, right?
Yeah.
Doing that in the control room, and I was like, holy shit, man, this sounds fucking amazing. And so what he did was he said, listen, let's do a couple demos while I've still got some time booked here. So we brought in our stuff. They tore down their stuff. We brought in our stuff, and we recorded a couple songs that Ronnie produced.
Yeah.
And those helped us, getting our deal. And they got a little bit of play on the radio, and first of all, let me go off a little bit of a tangent here. I just want to tell you a little bit about my experience with Ronnie. And first of all, we were, you don't know what to expect, but immediately the guy was just the coolest guy you wanted to know.
Yeah.
And he was on every level. And not only, everybody knows he's a great singer, but what a lot of people don't know is he's a great producer.
Yeah.
And he's just an amazing human being,
Yeah.
Or was. And working with him was like magic.
Yeah,
He was so complimentary, and he helped me, definitely brought me up a level. When we did those studio sessions, and it was just really cool working with him. And then once we got our deal, it only took us 9 months to get signed.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So Warner Brothers picks us up 9 months later, and we were waiting for Ted Templeman to produce us.
Wow.
Ted was the one that was actually signed us.
Wow.
But he was busy with Van Halen, and then David Lee Roth was getting ready to do his stuff.
Yeah.
So he didn't have the time to do it.
Wow.
So we kind of wasted some time there.
Yeah.
We wound up with Tom Allam of Judas Priest.
Not too bad there. Yeah.
Not too bad. Yeah, we did it a lot worse. We were stoked about it.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah.
The thing is we got to go out and start playing. Even before we were signed, we had already gone to Europe and done shows, and so we had a head start. And of course, we went out on 2 different stints with Ronnie. One was for about 6 months.
Wow.
The other was maybe 3 months. So we were out there playing arenas with Ronnie and just having the time of our lives.
Oh, I bet. I mean, if nothing else, I mean, you have a great story to tell from that time period. And you know what I love about it is, I mean, I'm assuming you were a huge Ronnie fan, but I mean, it's one of those stories where a matter of being at the right place at the right time. Of course, it has a little bit to do with being a talented band. But I mean, let's think about that time. Ronnie had just left Sabbath, getting ready to launch his solo career, and then a recommendation from a legendary Ronnie James Dio, formerly of Rainbow and Black Sabbath, and his wife Wendy. That's not too bad for an up and coming band. And then he's also on the same label at the time, Warner Brothers. And and Ronnie shows them that hey, he's willing to take a chance, guys, by not just producing the demos, but saying I'm willing to take these guys out and let them open for my band. That's a pretty cool recommendation,
Yeah, it was really fortuitous, man.
And I'm not surprised to hear you say what a cool guy he was, because that's anyone I've ever talked to who knew Ronnie. That's one thing they say. Super talented guy, but even a better human being. I heard somebody tell me a story about where the band had just got on stage, and their tour bus was the last to leave a parking lot. Ronnie sees like a single fan after a concert in the pouring down rain. He has a tour bus driver pull up and say, "You know what? Find out where he needs to get dropped off, and we'll drop him off along the way."
That sounds like Ronnie. That sounds exactly like Ronnie. He treated everybody equal.
Yeah. Yeah, and now
Never looked down on anybody.
and now I understand Rough Cutt is getting ready, and in fact, the 25th, which is on Thursday, you guys are getting ready to premiere your first music video in 30 years rather. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can imagine, I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some different members. So it's David Alford and I are the only
original
members from the original recording band. Yeah. And so we've got Stephen St. James on vocals, who's coincidentally the guy that I played with in that band Sarge I told you about.
Wow, cool. I mean, so it really has come full circle,
It has. Now let me give you a little anecdote here. So this is kind of worth mentioning. It's just so improbable. So Barry Gordy from Motown was looking to put together a like a boy band type thing, right?
Yeah.
And so he saw us, and Steven's got some Latino in him.
Okay.
And he's sort of like, David Lee Roth on steroids.
Wow.
And it's like, the guy's just got charisma, out the ass on stage.
Yeah.
So we find out that Barry's been coming down and watching us, and of course, so he makes Stephen an offer, and says, "Look, I want to start this band. I want you to be the singer. I want to sign you up, and blah blah." And so I never forget the day Stephen came to me and with his tail between his legs.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dude, we were just getting ready to cut a demo."
Wow.
Brad Aaron, the guy that had done some work with Kansas.
Okay.
It was our first big break, and then all of a sudden we lost our singer.
Wow.
And so, but we wound up getting Rob Lamoth to come in and fill in for him. You're familiar with River Dogs, right?
Yeah, River Dogs. Yeah. Vivian Campbell. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Vivian Campbell.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, so we did that. But anyway, so yeah, it's full circle, man.
Well, that is cool. And now, if you could help with a little bit of confusion here, because I know you're at one point also in the band Rough Riot, which was a band where it had Carlos Cavazo, Paul Sorrentino, where you guys were doing like Rough Cut and Quiet Riot material since.
Yeah.
But
right.
So did the two camps kind of split and morph into the two separate bands?
Yeah. It was kind of an experiment that we tried.
Yeah.
And because Paul still wanted to, we still wanted to play together, the three of us.
Yeah.
And but so we decided, hey, and Carlos, wasn't really doing that much, and we talked to him, and he was like, yeah, he goes, I'll do it, and we were like, great, man, and then we, grabbed Sean McNabb, who was, a friend of all of ours, and to do bass, but we only did a couple gigs. It was pretty short lived.
Yeah.
I don't know if those guys are still doing anything or playing.
Yeah, and the reason I want to ask is because I've seen stuff on Facebook where probably as far as doing stuff currently, probably not because of COVID, but I know they were doing shows, and I know I talked to the drummer Greg D'Angelo, who's also played with Stephen and then White Lion over the years.
Yeah, I played with Greg and Stephen's band for quite a while.
And that's part of the reason because since they kind of changed the name to Carlos Cavazo's Rough Riot, and I was just kind of under the impression when you guys had first formed that project that maybe at that time Rough Cut had kind of decided to change the name and but you guys are back as Rough Cut, right?
Yeah, we were every the members, everybody had sort of a different agenda.
Yeah.
And Amir had his own thing going on.
Okay.
And Matt is had his studio, and so we basically weren't all on the same page.
Okay.
So that's kind of what happened.
And then the final question regarding the name. You are no doubt in Rough Cut currently, and my question is, so you guys are this is legally you're able to do it as far as there's not going to be like two Rough Cuts, right? This is Rough Cut, the one and only, right?
I don't think there's going to be two Rough Cuts.
Yeah, well, that's good because it's great in the current installment or the lineup, and then you also you got another guy, Darren Householder. He's a super shredder guitar player, but he's been on the scene for a year, and I think the cool thing with this, not that he needs it, but he's going to, I think, even get more recognition being in this band.
Yeah, he will.
It's going to raise his profile a lot.
He's a great player, a great guy. And we were stoked to get him in the band.
And so, how did you guys get him? Like, did you just reach out to him and
Yeah, we just reached out. We were looking. I was making calls. David was making calls, and so I forget, somebody
recommended him.
I can't remember who recommended him, but somebody recommended him to us.
Well, that is cool.
I called him up, and he said, "Well, I'm doing some stuff with Jizzy, but he says, when I'm not doing that, I'm cool, and I said, well, look, I don't mind if you're, playing with Jizzy, and that's all good. We all have to do that sometimes.
We all have to do other things, right? Yeah. And in fact, let me ask you, as far as the guitar playing, now that you and you're working with Darren, he's, I guess, pretty much the lead guy, or do you guys trade off on leads? How does that work?
It's a trade-off, basically. So we're doing, as far as the classic Rough Cut stuff, we're doing it pretty much the way we did it when it was Amir and me. So he played Amir's parts, I play my parts. With the new stuff, it's wide open territory.
Yeah.
So we're creating our own, we're keeping in the tradition of, having two lead players.
Cool. I like that because, one thing I hated about, the early 90s when metal wasn't too popular anymore, and you had all those new metal bands. A lot of those bands at the time, I remember, were like, "We don't do guitar solos. We don't have guitar heroes in our band." I'm like, man, that is what was missing, So thanks for keeping that alive, even though it's the 2000s or something,
No, absolutely, man. We're you're going to be hearing a lot of double leads, harmonies,
Wow. Yeah. I'm just so excited, as you can hear. Like I'm sure a lot of fans are. Yeah, and getting back to we were talking just a few minutes back. You're having a new video premiering, first video by the band in 30 years. Wow.
Yeah.
this Thursday on the 25th. So tell us, about the song and the video. What it was like making the video, and what people can expect.
Well, okay, it's a power ballad, and it's called Black Rose.
Okay.
And it's just hooky as hell.
Wow, I love that.
And it's got some really great melodic, harmony lead stuff going on for, I think guitar players are going to like it. And I think it's one of the better songs we've ever done, really.
Well, I'll be tuning in on Thursday, like a lot of people. Now, it premieres on Brave World's site. Is that correct?
Yeah, on Brave Worlds. Yeah.
Wow. And that's taking me back to back in the day, like when a lot of these bands we grew up on, Rough Cutt, Pre-Ratt, and all that. I don't know about Rough Cutt, but a lot of the metal bands, from that time, they would world premiere of videos back in the day, Headbangers Ball or MTV. That's the way they used to do it. And not a lot of bands are doing music videos these days. So I think it's cool that you guys are doing that, because it's amazing the audience you can reach just on YouTube if you post your video up on the internet. And I think there's no better way to promote your stuff and kind of pimping your own stuff, because who's going to promote it better than you,
Yeah, and we definitely have strategies in place for all that. We've got a great manager and new manager. Well, been working with him for about a year now. And, as soon as the venues start opening up, we're going to be out there. Yeah. So, we're looking forward to that too.
And so, in regards to the new video that people are going to see Thursday, it's called Black Rose, and I was curious, is that anything to do with like Thin Lizzy? Because I know Phil Lynott, he always was talking about black roses and stuff.
No, it doesn't actually. So I'll just give you a quick little teaser. It's just basically it's all about this chick.
Okay.
Who goes out and does the dirty.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's a metaphor, shall we say? But people tune into that. And what was it like shooting? Like, was it like old school video where it took all day and you kind of just picked the best footage?
We shot it in like half a day or something. It was pretty. We kind of knew what we were doing. We did a little rehearsal.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
They shot the actual scene parts with her and driving in a car and all that stuff.
Well, can't wait to see it. And now let me ask you. So I assume you guys are working towards a new full length CD.
Yeah, we've actually got some offers already. So we've got a deal if we want it.
Oh, cool. You're just kind of looking it over and deciding which one's the best one.
Yeah, exactly. So basically what we're going to do is wait till the video comes out. It's been out for a little bit, and everybody's had a chance to hear it. And then I think we'll probably be doing some negotiating.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, you could even say, well, look, before we sign on the dotted line, let us show you how the fans responded to this new video. And it's the first thing we've done in 30 years, as far as a new video.
Yeah.
And that really says a lot, because, like I said, you can, get a lot of people checking your stuff out, even on YouTube these days. A lot of bands that don't even have a label behind them, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think we're real fortunate, that people are interested in this, knowing that the lineup has changed and all that. I think people are curious. Yeah. And it's like, God, what are these guys going to sound like?
Again, I mean, it's anticipation on twofold. I mean, anybody that's followed Rough Cutt over years, especially like for hard rock and metal fans, they've heard the name. They say it is legendary, so to speak. And then of course, the ones that have been with you guys since day one, they're going to be like, okay, well, they got some of the same new guys, some old guys, but it's half the band is new. These new guys, what's that going to sound like? And they won't have to wonder anymore after Thursday. So
that's right.
So and then we'll just say go from there. But I know you guys also got you're working with a pretty cool publicist who I know he's worked with Kiss, for example, over here. So you're in pretty good hands, I think there.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm real happy with it so far.
Yeah, and Chris, as far as guitar players that influenced you, who would be some of your guitar heroes growing up?
Oh man, I was really into Alice Cooper's band.
Well, I'm glad you said that.
Michael Bruce and
wow.
Glenn Buxton, those guys were my heroes.
Now, I got to ask you about Allison because, for one thing, 2021 marks the 50th anniversary of just one of his mini albums, Love It to Death, which is a great album.
Oh, yeah.
And what I love about that album in particular is, if you listen to it, kind of predates a lot of the shock rock stuff. I mean, it's really got elements of punk in that album.
It really does. It's an amazing record, man. In fact, I think it's my favorite.
Yeah, interesting. Michael Bruce, besides his guitar playing, just a super legendary songwriter. I mean, one of my all-time favorite songs he ever wrote is Be My Lover. If you listen to that song, the lyrics, that's really the story of Alice Cooper. I mean, I love the lyric where he says, that's why the singer's name is Alice. And he just says everything. And before we move on, I got to also say, Alice, I'm sure you've had a chance to check out his new album, and if not, I really urge you to, because it's just as great as any of his classic stuff. 15 great new songs that hit number one.
I have not had a chance yet, but I definitely want to. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Yeah, it hit number one, and you get 15 new songs, and then what's cool is they also include a DVD from the past tour he did, and so you get a little something extra for your money, and I always dig stuff like that. But again, Alice has got, in fact, Michael Bruce, Neil Smith, he's got some of those original guys on some of the tracks.
Well, yeah, that's what I heard. He's got all of the original guys except for
Glenn.
Which guy was it?
I think Glenn Buxton was his name.
Buxton, yeah.
Yeah, but Dennis Dunaway's on there.
Dennis Dunaway, man.
And just to educate you on, he's got a Bob Seger tune on there, and the very first track that opens it up is called Rock and Roll. And what's interesting about that is it's a Velvet Underground. It's a tune Lou Reed, if you know who he is, wrote. And if you go on YouTube, you can check out the original version. And I tell you, it sounds what Alice did sounds nothing like the original tune, but he really rocked it up, and he owns the song. In fact, I like the Alice version better than I like the Velvet Underground.
Well, just the fact that basically the original, all the original numbers except for one are playing on it is enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, you got them playing on. Yeah, you got those original guys playing on a number of tracks. He's got different players. Like one of the players, he calls it Detroit Stories because that the band at the time was from Detroit, and he's got all these musicians that are from. One of the guys he has as a writer and plays guitar on some of the album is Wayne Kramer from MC5. So it's a kick-ass album. If you're an Alice fan, I think you'll dig it. And
I gotta say one thing real quick about Alice is I had the pleasure of meeting him and hanging out with him.
I seen that on your Facebook. Yeah, tell about that.
Yeah, and it's like here's another guy who is just cooler than shit.
Yeah, he seems like he would be.
Absolutely no ego, just genuine, cool, and it's like we spent a few minutes talking, and it was a great experience for me, and I tried not to
be starstruck.
Too much.
Yeah. It's hard sometimes, but what's cool about to me is I've never met Alice, but I'm a super fan, as you can tell too. And see, Alice Cooper is one of those performers. Like I said, he's been doing it over 50 years now. He's got a great catalog of music. He could be one of those artists that kind of hung it up and say, I'm just going to live on my catalog music.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I dig the fact that he's still putting out new music, and it's just as good as the stuff he did, in the 70s. And in fact, the new album has got the same producer, Bob Ezrin, who produced all those.
Oh, you're kidding! Did Ezrin produce it?
Yeah, so I tell you, it's worth checking out. I think. Yeah.
I'm hooked, man. I'm gonna download that sucker, buy that.
Yeah, you really should. And I was curious, getting back to Stephen Pearcy for a little bit. Are you going to be playing on his new album that he's working on currently?
I don't know if I'll plan on it or not. I know I'm going to be
involved in it.
We spoke briefly last week, and I know I'm going to be be part of his docu series that he's going to be putting out.
Oh, cool! I heard about that.
So I'm going to be gonna be a part of that, which should be fun.
And like I said, I know you've been part of a solo band off and on through the years. I was curious if at any point, like when Warren left the band, were you ever asked, hey, you want to come over to Ratt, or did you guys kind of just want to keep...
I wasn't, and I think the thing is like, Warren, those guys were like, Juan and Warren were like adamant about like not wanting any of Stephen's...
Makes sense, I guess, yeah. I mean, they got enough friction in that band, maybe it's a good thing in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun out there.
Yeah, and that's the one thing about his solo band is, I think Stephen gets ragged on a lot in the press by fans and stuff, but he seems like I think a lot of times people say, oh, he left Ratt 4 times. Well, I think he just got fed up with a lot of BS, and even I've read in interviews where he says, stuff I do with my solo band, it's always fun. Nobody's ever fighting or anything. It's just cool. We dig being around each other.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. I can tell you that firsthand, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'll let you go. Before we do it, though, I want to ask you. I seen you're also you're involved in this thing called Recipes. I guess it's a cookbook. Recipes for Autism. You want to talk about?
Yeah. I donated a recipe for that. Yeah, that was fun.
And so I was curious, what was a recipe? And are you much of a cook yourself, or is it just something you do for fun, like in spare time?
Yeah, I just do a little bit here and there for fun. It's this really tasty, unique tasting spaghetti sauce.
Oh, cool. And I'm assuming you took part because you were asked to, but I was just curious. Were you all affected by autism as far as knowing somebody that suffers from it, or just wanted to help out?
Yeah, I mean, that was part of it. Yeah, I do. I actually do. I've had some fans that reach out, and I correspond with them and stuff like that. So I was
well, yeah, I think it's just a way to
that. I always jump on it.
I mean, it's always great to lend a helping hand, but I think too it's great to be able to educate the general public on things like that, because a lot of people think they know about it, and they really don't know what I mean. And I can tell firsthand that I work with disabled people at my day job, and
oh, really?
So I've encountered that, and it's very interesting. You get in these situations. A lot of it is they think, oh, these people have behaviors. No, it just has to do with like how their brain works, or it doesn't work properly, and it could be something as simple as I used to have a patient I worked with, and he went home one day and he had a fit because his mother rearranged the furniture, and he just had a fit because he was not used to seeing the room that way, and so it kind of upset his routine. And people, I think, so it's great when you can kind of bring awareness to things like that.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of levels of autism.
Yeah. And then the final thing I want to ask about, I see you also were involved in this thing called Ghost Circus Apparel. Now, I was curious, is this your line of clothing, or what is?
It's a friend of mine's, actually.
Okay. Oh, cool.
He makes some amazing stuff, and his name's Eli, and check it out. Ghost Circus. In fact, when you see me on stage, I'm wearing all his stuff, and he just makes some amazing stuff.
Yeah, and as far as your guitars that you use, Chris, are you endorsed by anybody, or?
I was doing some stuff with Grover Jackson a couple of years ago, but he's we did some GJ2 endorsement stuff, but then he kind of went over to do the Friedman thing.
Okay, yeah.
So as of right now, no, not really.
Oh, okay.
So I'm kind of into I've got a bunch of Strat that I just put together myself.
Oh wow, that's cool too. Yeah,
that's fun. I had a lot of fun doing that, and then obviously I've got those Grovers and a couple other things that I use.
Oh, that's cool. And so I'm sure, like a lot of people with the current COVID stuff, you're taking on a lot of projects, or is Rough Cutt like your main one right now?
Yeah, well, I've got in the background I do some stuff. I do some work, for TV and stuff.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Submissions for TV and stuff. So I'm just working on for that.
Now, what's that like? Because I've heard of other guys like, for example, I know Adam Hamilton, who used to be in LA Guns. He does that. I know
Mark
Fred Corey, and that's pretty cool. Now, it's one thing like to be a musician all your life, where you're in the studio and you're cutting an album, cutting a CD or whatever you want to say, and you get that final product in your hand. You're here. What's it like to work on music, like for I don't know, a sporting event or even a TV show, and you go home and you're watching the show on TV and you're like, hey, that's my piece of music,
It's cooler than shit.
Yeah.
It's a really good feeling, yeah.
So
I've just gotten into that, fairly recently.
Good luck with that. And
but I was lucky because I did some of it back in the 80s. So I had a little bit of experience doing it. So yeah.
And so I'm assuming, since you're one of the remaining classic members, that you were very involved with the writing on the upcoming Rough Cutt album.
You would be correct.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And very much into that. Yeah.
Oh well, I'm glad to hear that, because I know you're a very gifted writer. I've liked a lot of the stuff you've written over the years, and I think that'll give us some validity. The fact that half of the classic lineup is still there, and I think more and more these days people will listen to this stuff with more open ears. I mean, it's amazing. Even talking about your former singer Paul Shortino, I know when he did that album with Quiet Right, a lot of people at that time, they didn't even listen to it. They just kind of panned the album. But over the years, people are more open to listening to that now. They say, it wasn't really a bad album.
Things have changed.
Yeah.
Way, which is a good thing.
Well, Chris, I want to thank you for taking time to talk to me. I really enjoyed getting to know you. I said, you're going to be the first interview we post in early April. I will let Michael know when the interview gets posted. If you would like to then post on any of your sites, feel free to do so. Let's
oh yeah, I definitely want to do that.
And let's keep in touch. Maybe maybe you've had a chance to see once I've had a chance to see the video and the album comes out, maybe we could talk some more, because once your album drops, I'd really like to talk to you again and help push that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. That sounds great.
And do you mind, as far as the interview that's when I post it, do you mind if I take